Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Elitist Geek VR news for Sunday, December 18th, 2016. Let's jump right into VR, guys. Start with some preamble. As you can see, my little comforting prop is still not up and running, the arcade. I kind of miss, honestly, looking at my monitor and seeing it play quietly and silently in the background. Hopefully I'll have it fixed later this week. It has to be fixed before Gaming Friday. We'll see. All right, let's talk about a couple of games I got coming up in the Quick Look series. I'm going to have Push for Emor, or Emor, and Rom Extraction. Both of those I hope to have up later tonight, so look for them when they are. The other thing I want to talk about is the 4K, just to get your guys' thoughts on that. So here are the pros as I see it. The pro is it doesn't matter what resolution you have, you can watch the videos on this channel 4K down to 260p or 360p, whatever the minimum is. The negative with it is, holy crap, does it take a long time to process internally at YouTube. I'm going to try it again tonight. Hopefully last night was a bit of an anomaly, but it took probably half a day, I'd say about 12 hours, for it to completely finish internal processing. In other words, as far as it showed me, processing was done. But for the longest time, 1440p was the only option that would show. It took about 12 hours for the whole gamut to show. If that's not an anomaly, yeah, I'll keep doing 4K because it gives us the biggest variety to view it back from. If this is an ongoing thing where every day it's going to take 12 hours to fully process, I'll probably go back to 1080p until that's fixed or I can figure it out. Just a heads up, okay? We're also going to probably hear about Lucky Palmer's fate over the next couple of days. We still don't know what the title shuffle is going to mean for him, but there is speculation that he is being moved to Storage B. Serious Sam, or rather Crow Team, the folks behind Serious Sam, they have the 15-year-old version, the original Serious Sam, First Encounter, redone with their new Crow Team 2017 engine with full Locomotion options in VR, going into early access within 2 days, December 20th. So you're going to be able to teleport using their proprietary system. You're going to be able to smooth run if that's your thing. There's all kinds of options and apparently some even in between. So maybe you get nausea, but you don't want teleport. There's probably something for you there. So look for that. As soon as it's out, I'll probably do a video on that game as well. So once again, Rom Extraction and Push for Emor. All right, first up in the news. Oculus has just made their Gear VR a bit more social, which is kind of an odd statement to make considering Facebook is their parent company. But yeah, they haven't really done anything social to now. Companies like Altspace VR have. So what have they done? Well, they've got two new features for the Gear VR. The first one is called Parties. It's basically a chat program a la PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Vent, you name it. It's the second one that's a bit more social. Second one is called Rooms. And this is probably going to sound familiar, but it lets you share a room with buddies. You can do some basic board games on the virtual table in the virtual room, watch stuff like Netflix, I'm assuming, through the TV in the room, and launch multiplayer Gear VR games from within that room. So that's Parties and Rooms coming to Gear VR. Next news story, how VR can conquer the music world in 2017. This is a really cool article by Courtney Harding on Upload VR. And she starts about talking about the music video golden age of the 80s and 90s, which I lived through. And let me tell you, it was true. This was when channels like MTV, Much Music showed videos, not just reality TV shows, which I understand part of their business model now, they can't make money off videos because of YouTube and whatever other reasons, right? That kind of died out. But the golden age was absolutely the 80s and 90s. Even if you didn't like the artist, you couldn't help sometimes but admire the cinematography or the art direction of a music video. I didn't dislike Duran Duran. I wasn't a huge Duran Duran guy. It was mostly the screaming girls in my class in high school. But you can't deny they had awesome freaking videos. Hungry Like the Wolf, still one of the best music videos depicting island paradise. I mean, that was right up there with Mel Gibson's The Bounty for me, to have the one day I want to retire and live there, albeit with all of this and satellite internet, because that would probably suck being that disconnected. But the island part would be good. But anyways, Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Billie Jean, Michael Jackson. There's so many iconic videos from the past. And the ultimate irony, and I love this when Courtney mentioned it because it's so true, is that a lot of today's generation, they will watch a music song, or listen to a music song rather, on a video format, YouTube. So how is that for irony? I mean, that is literally a 360 using video to listen to music. There's still music videos, I get that, but they are nowhere near as popular as they were in the 80s and 90s. And that's where she's going with this, that perhaps music videos can have a resurgence, a new golden age, if you will, and it's all going to come down to the artist. I am already convinced the live music experience, like the concert experience, doing that with how good future 360 is probably going to be, yeah, that's going to be a good second option for if you can't go to see a concert, right? Like a 1B option instead of a 2 option. Music videos, that's really going to require the artist getting creative and innovative and having it be immersive. If they can make it immersive, yeah, there could be a resurgence for music videos. Absolutely. So really cool article. Check that out. Link below. Next up, probably the craziest VR locomotion technique yet. This one is called the Ninja Run. And it comes to us via Sean Hall, whose previous claim to fame was a do-it-yourself HoloLens type kit. Now, he says, in many popular anime and cartoons, characters depicted to be moving very fast are often illustrated with their hands and arms trailing their torso in the direction they are moving. Even though it is unrealistic, it does induce the notion that the person has a superpower to move very fast. With my locomotion, the user is allowed the luxury of immersing themselves in a system where they possess that superpower because moving is tied to muscles and the inner ear. Simulator sickness is profoundly reduced. And we got to remember, when catering to the lowest common denominator, especially with females who have higher percentage, chance of having motion sickness compared to a male, when we looked at those statistics, it was 4 out of 5. It was really high. This is the type of innovation that has to come up. And yeah, it looks goofy, but if it works and it's effective, fantastic. And that remains to be seen. He's marketing this to other devs. He's got a demo out of it. You can check it out. I can check it out. I probably will. And yeah, it remains to be seen. Are devs going to pick this up as a locomotion option? So yeah, basically putting your arms behind your back, forming a triangle, and your incline determines your speed. Now, I have a pretty crappy back, so could I use something like this long-term? Probably not. But that's where I always talk about having a variety of locomotion options in a given experience or game. People who don't have lower back problems, it'll probably be aces. It'll be awesome to use. So very cool article. Check that out. Again, link below. That's a Road to VR article. Next news story, the road ahead in VR and AR will have 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Fantastic article written by Dean Takahashi. And he talks about John Riccitello, who's the CEO of Unity Technologies, and I probably butchered his Italian name. But anyways, predicting that tech journalists would start gleefully writing that the VR revolution is over because sales of VR headsets fell short of expectations, and analysts are in the midst of shaving back their predictions. Now, Dean, the author, he says he's not one of them. He says, for AR and VR, I see 2017 as a year full of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and 2 steps back and 1 step forward. It's a complex market with losers and winners for a technology that could change the world and many industries beyond just gaming. It's not a fizzling bubble that is going to disappear like 3D glasses and 3D TV. And I think that's a very important statement. Now, John, Unity CEO goes on to say, it doesn't surprise him if a publication like the New York Times is going to run on the front page right before Christmas saying that VR and AR is all a hoax, it's a fizzle. But interesting story he mentions at the very end where he says he witnessed a discussion between a virtual reality firm like CCP, who literally put all their eggs into the VR basket with Eve Valkyrie, published across all platforms, 11 products. And Vygar Peterson, who is the CEO of CCP, basically said, look, we've invested 30 million and we've already got back 25 million of that. And that's in the first year with expectations being lower than they were forecast. Imagine what 2017 holds. And I love that optimism, right? It's the end story that CEO of Unity mentions that really made it for me. He goes, at this event, I saw Vygar Peterson having a conversation at VRX with an executive from a very large game company. But rather than taking pity on CCP, the executive was bemoaning the fact that his own company was too risk averse and as a result hasn't learned or done anything in virtual reality yet. He actually envied Vygar Peterson. And I thought that was a perfect statement. Yes, there will be winners. Yes, there will be losers. But in the losers category, VR will not find itself. Absolutely not. It's going to zigzag. It's not just a straight line. And I love that analogy. That's so true. And yeah, there's going to be times where we take 2 steps back and 1 step forward. But ultimately, I believe it's going to be successful. It just needs time, experiences, games, and hardware to just keep following that path that it's following. Next news story, and the last one, has to do with VR Arcade in Japan. This one by entertainment company Adoras. They're about 5 minutes they're building from the nearest Tokyo subway station. They've converted their entire 4th floor into a VR arcade. And unlike some of the VR arcades I've talked about in North America, where it's basically an empty room with a Vive in the center and a sticker on the door that says VR Arcade, these guys went all out. This looks like you would picture a VR arcade looking. The aesthetics, the design, all nailed to a T. They believe that their market is basically catering to people who couldn't afford VR. Now, you would think that means they're probably going to be fairly affordable. I'll let you guys be the judge. But the costs, 3,200 yen, which is about $40 US, 30 pounds. You can do the conversion for other countries. But that gets you unlimited access to each game for 70 minutes. 70 minutes. That's just over an hour. You could look at that and you could say, you know what, 10 trips, and you could buy yourself a VR solution if you've got a PS4, for example. So, you know what? It's an option. And if the price isn't right, it's going to have to correct itself. And ultimately, that's going to determine whether they're successful or not, is how well they can market it, how attractive the price is to people, if they're willing to pay that. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on them. All right, guys, that's it for the news tonight. Look for those 2 games I mentioned later. As always, cheers. Hope you guys had a kick-ass weekend. Catch you on the VR flip side.